Anyway, go on.
Absolutely. How did the whole idea of like Pickle Rick come into fruition?
Dan was drunk, and it was right before Thanksgiving break, and I think Justin had already left town. I don't think you think Justin was in the room, and Dan was, I think, in a passive aggressive way, frustrated because I don't know, the room was cold that day, and who knows, there were some new writers in the room that season, and I think it's sort of an intimidating room to be in. Dan's an intimidating guy to be around. And I think sometimes people freeze up or whatever. There's a million reasons why a comedy writing room is dead from a day-to-day basis. And this is one of those days. And Dan, I think in passive aggressive frustration, just started to like rattle off a bunch of ideas, just holding his glass of vodka and just kind of rattling off. And it's there, he could rattle off brilliant little nuggets of ideas just out the top of his head. And one of them was, after a series of absurd ideas that he knew would never be episodes, he rattled off essentially what was the opening of Pickle Rick. He's like, okay, what about this? What about Morty's brushing his hair in the bathroom, and here's Morty, Morty, come here, in the garage. And then Morty, what the fuck? Morty goes in the garage. Morty, over here. Morty looks, sees a pickle. What the fuck? What? And the pickle, Morty, come on, turn it over. Turns over the pickle. Ah, it's Rick's face. And then that was it. That was the idea. And it really was, I think, nonsense. It never meant to be anything of an episode. And then Dan left that afternoon, shortly after that, to wherever he was going for Thanksgiving. And I was in charge of the writer's room at that point. This is where I become my own hype man. So I said, fuck that. We're going to take that idea and we're going to actually turn that into an episode. And so, it was almost like fueled by like Dan, maybe this is me projecting, but I thought he was just trying to go like, I'm going to give you guys turds. And I thought to myself, well, we're going to make this turd into Turdinade. And so we started, and I thought, look, why not? Why can't that be the opening? Why can't that be like, what would happen if Rick was a pickle? You know what I mean? And so then we started all talking about like, well, what if this is Rick's 127 hours or Rick's Gravity? Once again, no one thinks of that episode necessarily as a spoof of those movies, but that's what I thought of it as, like a story about Rick in a situation where suddenly he doesn't have all of the resources that he's used to, including his own body, his hands and legs. And so then, a series of accidents results in him rolling out onto the sun and then ending up in the sewer. And we broke that basic story. And I think the original episode, well, I know the original episode, and this, by the way, folds back into one of your other questions. The original episode did the second half of the story. I think the act break, because Rick and Morty is always a bifurcated act structure, 1 and 2, with a commercial break in the middle. It was, the whole thing didn't take place in like a generic foreign embassy, not in a bad way, but just in the episode, it's a kind of a generic like Eastern European foreign embassy. And it was actually in a restaurant, and it was there was a character who was like a sort of No Country for Old Men style assassin by way of a cockroach exterminator who was called in to take out the weird, at this point, Rick, rat pickle hybrid that Rick was. And so Adult Swim, Mike Lazo, that Adult Swim, said like, I don't really like that. And so we changed it to the foreign embassy and made it a more literal action movie setting. So that's the story of Pickle Rick, and another example of when Adult Swim pushed back, which is very, very infrequent.
Oh, that's crazy. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
I still don't quite understand. I love the exterminator character was really funny because it was like, this exterminator, the cops were, I think, surrounding the building, and then they called in this exterminator who had this mythological energy to him, like, oh my God, the most badass exterminator in the world. To me, that's funny, but yeah, we had to change it.
Yeah. Oh, so that's just like one of those instances, but I explained like kind of previously.
Yeah. I don't to this day, I don't know why that was a problem. It wasn't too violent or too politically offensive. It was just he just didn't like the idea of it being an exterminator, so we changed it.